Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and it's time for another Breakfast with Blaha. And yeah, I'm eating yogurt. I'll be doing this a lot in the near future. Let's talk about women's training. I already know every time I make a video on this, it's not going to get as many views. That's okay. But topic comes up of women's training. I get this even with clients of mine who are like, hey, I'm putting together a workout for my girlfriend. This happened a couple times now. And, I'm doing similar stuff to what you have me do, and we're doing all the lower body stuff, but we just don't want her upper body to get too big. And it's like, why are you going to give her steroids? It's like, well, no. Like, she plan on taking steroids? No. Then how's her upper body going to get big? It's not biologically going to happen. Hey, in fact, a lot of women who don't use very much, they keep the stuff very conservative that they use, don't get big jacked upper bodies. It doesn't happen. So we really don't need different programming for that. We really don't. Women just do not have the potential to build a massive upper body. And if they don't train it at all, they're hurting their health. They're hurting their strength. They're hurting their athleticism. And then when we go look at the training itself, and it's specialized for women, right? It's garbage. It's almost always little trendy, silly stuff that essentially tells women, look, we know you're not going to train hard. We know you're not really interested in results. So we're going to give you a bunch of silly fluff so that you can goof off. Right, those little donkey kicks and side kicks. Oh, and let's walk around with a band around our ankles. Right, just about anything involving a hip band. Again, silly, goofy fluff movements. And even then, this is for the muscles and stuff they want to develop, right? It's for the muscles they want to develop. Things like their glutes, hip extensors, legs, all this stuff, right? Because most women who are training, they want these things to be well developed. They might even say, well, I want them toned. Well, it's the same thing. I mean, they're not going to get massive, right? On a rounder, perkier, butt firmer legs. But then they do stuff that's not going to do it because this is what they've been sold. This is what they've been told. Well, women really shouldn't be doing real training, so, we'll have you do much stuff with the hip circle. There's some little silly, maybe real lightweight good mornings with a stiff leg. Maybe some little lightweight goblet squats. And the reality is, they should be training like the same way that we train men who want to get seriously strong. And a lot of them get that. We do see that. You see this a lot. You will see women who, again, might be a little afraid of the upper body. They're willing to do the lower body stuff correctly. But that's what they need to be doing. All right? So I don't program anything different. That's why I don't ever do women's specific topics. I get asked to do these by some of my female followers. They ask. I'll get clients who ask, and it's like, but there is no difference. The training itself shouldn't be different. Look, women who want all this toned, developed lower body, well, the way that I train, the way that I promote people train, is going to maximally develop the musculature, strength, all of these things of the entire lower body. Right? I focus on tons of glute training. All my athletes, which are mostly men, we focus on all this stuff, the glutes, the hips, the quads, the hamstrings, lower back. We put an enormous focus on all this area because we need to. So we're already doing all those things. And yes, women should, if they want those goals, they want those lower body goals, they should be doing this the exact same way that I recommend. Yes, I think they should do max effort and dynamic effort days for their squatting and deadlifting. I think they should be doing good mornings and glute bridges and reverse hypers and split squats and belt squats and all these things. Yeah, I think they should be doing all that, and they should be programming them the same way that men do. We want to maximally develop those areas. But then we come to the upper body. Why should it be any different? Women who want to be fit and healthy and capable should be seeking maximum development of their upper body. Again, with the caveat being their upper body is not going to get big and bulky and jacked without using male hormones. If they do not put any male hormones into their body, aka anabolic steroids, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And even if they do get a bigger upper body, they're not going to see that same freakish size that they're scared of unless they get really lean too. They diet all their body fat off because that masks that size. All right. But it's not a valid concern. So therefore, we should be coming back and saying, okay, we know that's not going to happen. We know that's not going to happen. Let's just maximize the size there too in development. Why? Because you'll be fitter, you'll be healthier, you'll have a higher energy turnover, you'll be more capable, be more athletic. So yes, they should be training it the same way also. They should be training it the exact same way that men do. The only real differences that we see has to do with things like neuromuscular efficiency and work capacity. Women have a higher volume tolerance than men. Okay, again, we know this is the reason for volume studies. They like to use women for these studies rather than men because we know they can handle slightly more volume, right? They handle it better. Women can usually use slightly shorter breaks between work sets and maintain performance. All right. They have lower neuromuscular efficiency than men. They're a little lower neuromuscular efficiency. They're not going to be quite as strong even with the same amount of muscle. Could be a slight difference. These differences are pretty small, and they're as an average. There is an average, meaning there's still a genetic curve to deal with. So it's not even universal, right? Some women with a high the volume tolerance, it isn't ultra high compared to other women. It might be lower than a man who is more gifted in that area. So we're talking about as an average across a bell curve here. We don't necessarily need different programming for this, other than we might say, well, a lot of women, they can handle a little more training volume, okay? Does that mean an extra set or two every week per muscle, right? It's not significant differences in the programming. Because when we're writing programming for anyone, it's all custom anyways, right? We program for their individual work capacity and recovery. That's what I do as a coach. So do we really need to train them differently? No, we don't. And women shouldn't. The same advice that I give to men on this channel is the same advice that I would give to women. Because again, we come back to that caveat, even the ones who don't want the really jacked upper body, they're not going to get it even with this advice. It's not going to happen. Not going to happen. Occasionally we get the occasional unfortunate woman who goes, but I do want that. Like, okay, but there's a lot of men who want to achieve results that can only be achieved with drugs also. It's a reason people don't stay natty. If you're serious about that goal and the real natural limits for a woman's upper body isn't good enough for you, then, well, you either need to decide, are you going to stay natty or are you going to give up that goal? Because you're going to have to pick one. And that's the reality of it. It's definitely not a valid fear. But I did bring up that last part because occasionally, I'll say that and then some women say, but I really want a more jacked upper body. I want it to be big. Well, then there's other things you're going to have to do besides training. And that's just the simple reality of it. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.